The year was 2014 and my cousin was having a barbecue at his house for his kid's birthday party. He invited a lot of his friends and some of our family over to the party. It was in a nice neighborhood and there was sidewalks with no tweakers creeping around. I was with my mom and two sisters. The car ride I was hating because mainstream music was slapping hard like usually. When we arrived there, we quickly parked in the driveway near the street since my cousin owned a few cars. I was sitting in the back seat on the left side and my younger sister was on the right side. I was wearing a white shirt, gray Dickies, and a red zip-up sweater since it was cold out lately. Once we were parked all the way, I then unbuckled the tan seat belt. I then reached to my left and I quickly opened the door. I was now carefully shutting the car door so I wouldn't get yelled at like usually. I then looked around since I was always beyond paranoid and alert. It was still slightly sunny outside and small trees were in the front yards of the nice neighborhood. I could hear the loud Spanish music coming from the garage, but I didn't want to hear it. I barely knew Spanish and I was already in a bad mood since I was thinking about crazy stuff. My mom and sisters then headed for the garage that was wide open. After that, I began walking up the cement driveway and a few seconds later, I then made a left onto the path. On both sides of the path were a nice green lawn. I was now at the front white screen door, so I then knocked. No one answered, so I then turned the doorknob to the screen door. I was now rubbing my shoes on the welcome mat. Then I then quickly entered the house after opening the second door. The ceiling was very high, and the house looked very nice. I quickly continued walking onto the hardwood floor. Once I had passed the counter that had the phone and the other stuff on it, I made a left towards the refrigerator. I was now passing by the nice table that was in the middle of the kitchen. After that, I grabbed the refrigerator's handle with my right hand and I then opened it very wide. I was now looking around and I could see the 750 milliliter Bacardi on the second shelf next to some food. I then reached in and I grabbed my Bacardi bottle I had there for me to drink. I knew how much Bacardi I could handle, so I would drink in peace. I then backed up after shutting the refrigerator and then turned my body to the left. After placing the bottle on the table, I was now walking ahead towards the sink area. And above the counter, there was a little cabinet. Once there, I then reached up and I carefully opened up the cabinet. I now could see stacks of plates and a few different colored shot glasses. I then grabbed a nearby clear double shot of Humidor cup. After that, I shut the cabinet and I now had to rinse the cup out in case dust or soap was still in it. And then pushed the metal sink knob up and I quickly rinsed the cup out 3 times. After that, I turned the sink knob down and it was now off. Once done, I then reached into my right pocket for my 12-ounce Dr. Pepper soda I had brought just in case for the shots. I was now slowly opening the can of soda and I could hear a pop and a noise. I then took the lid off the bottle and I quickly began pouring my first shots into the glass. I then took half of the double shot and I then chased it with Dr. Pepper soda. I was now burping, I could feel the burn. After that, I waited a few minutes before finishing my second shot. I was now feeling slightly better and a little relaxed. I then walked back to the living room and I sat down on the couch. The TV wasn't on and I was okay with it. I was sitting there for around 15 minutes just chilling. My cousin came inside a few minutes later and he had said to me, "Go chill in the garage with everyone and have a good time." He then also told me there was some girl in there I should get at or smoke with. I then told him, "Okay, I'll come outside for a while." I then got up off the couch and I went back into the kitchen. After that, I grabbed my shot glass and the Bacardi off the table. I was now turning around. I then headed for the hallway. I then made a left down the hallway a few seconds later. To my right was a door to the restroom, and I had continued down the long hallway. The closer I was getting, the louder I could hear the music. I then made another right and I was now at the garage door. I was now slowly turning the brass doorknob and I opened the door. I could now barely hear myself think since the music was slapping hard on the old school house stereo. I then quickly shut the door behind me. There was around 4 tables set up and they all had nice tablecloths on them. The garage was full of around 15 people. Some of them had plates filled with food, some were drinking some Budweiser beer, and others were drinking tequila shots. I then waved to my grandma and my step-grandpa. I then began walking straight through the middle opening, since the tables were on each side of the room. To my right was the girl my cousin told me about. She wasn't the best looking, but she was looking good. She was thick, light-skinned, and she had brown hair with some blonde in it. I then said what's up to my homie Jonathan and a few others I know. I then told them to let's blaze it, and one of my homies then said, okay, for sure, Brody. I then placed my Bacardi bottle and the shot glass on a table nearby. We then exited the open garage door and we quickly made a left. We couldn't smoke near the kids and the non-smokers. We were now 4 deep on the side of the house. To my right was a green garbage can and a wooden gate that led to the backyard. Behind us was the neighbor's front yard, but they were cool with us. My homie Jonathan then asked me, what have I been up to and if I just got there. After that, I told him, no, I was just chilling inside and I had just been staying home lately trying to get money. He then told me that's what's up. I then pulled my red pipe out of my gray Dickies pocket and also grabbed my sandwich bag that I had full of my weed. One of the dark-skinned homies then offered me a hit of wax from his vape pen. I then said, nah, I'm good, because I didn't trust everyone's trees since someone laced it on me before with meth. After that, I opened up my bag and I then grabbed a nice nug out that weighed a .5. The nugs were light green and so frosty. It smelled so good, you knew it was fire, and some real Blue Dream trees. I then took the screw on lid off of my red metal pipe and then began carefully packing it with the nugs above it. Once it was full, I then put the leftover piece back inside of my bag of trees. I then twisted the lid back onto the pipe all the way. After that, I quickly put the bag into my pocket and I then grabbed my black Bic lighter out. I then put the pipe in my mouth and I then sparked the lighter. The flame was now lit, so I then took a puff of the trees. The flame then went downwards into the opening of the pipe since I was inhaling. I took the pipe from my mouth and I then inhaled deeply. I didn't cough because the bud was actually smooth, unlike most outdoor weed. Then exhaled a large cloud and then took another deep breath so I wouldn't cough. After that, I passed it to my homie to the right. I then asked my other homie in front of me if he wanted to hit. He said, nah, bro. I don't even smoke right now since I work. A half minute later, the pipe was handed back to me. After I got another hit of the trees, I then put my pipe back into my pocket. I was now feeling just a head change, and I was feeling calm now. My cousin Santiago then exited the garage and he then came up to me. He was now saying to me, you see that girl in there? Go get at her. After that, I said okay, and I then began walking. I then headed back to the garage, and once I was at the table she was at, I asked her if she wanted to blaze it. After that, she said she had her own stuff, but nothing to smoke out of. I then told her I'd let her use my pipe to blaze out of. I then pulled my pipe out of my pocket and I then handed it to her. She then grabbed her trees out of her purse and she then got up. After that, I told her I still had some trees left in there and you could smoke it. She then said, okay, thanks. And I was now feeling relieved because I didn't trust other people's weed in it at all. I then asked her if she wanted some Bacardi. She then said yes, that she already been drinking a few shots of Jose Cuervo tequila. After that, I opened the bottle and I then carefully poured her some in a glass. She then picked the glass up off the table and she quickly drank it with no chaser. She didn't seem drunk yet at all and she seemed very calm. After that, I told her, smoke in the front yard so no one gets mad. She then took off walking towards the front yard. I was now pouring myself another shot from the Bacardi bottle I had with me. I was staying buzzed but not drunk. I then was feeling hungry now, so I decided I'd go back inside to serve myself some food. I then grabbed my bottle and the shot glass off the table. I was now walking back up the path towards the door that led me into the house. Around 30 seconds later, I turned the doorknob and I was now walking down the hallway quickly. Then made a left and then a right into the kitchen. I was now putting my Bacardi bottle on the table and my shot glass. I then grabbed a styrofoam plate that was in a package on top of the counter. After that, I grabbed the spoon inside the pan and then served myself some smashed beans that had white cheese in them. I then went to a nearby aluminum tray and I then served myself a lot of Spanish rice. After that, I grabbed a plastic spoon from a package that was nearby. I then sat down at the table with my plate of food. I now had a styrofoam plate full of food and I began eating very fast. I love beans and rice so much that I had killed it all within minutes. When I was done eating, I then decided to head back outside. After that, I got up and then tossed my plate in the garbage can that was next to the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. I was now grabbing the Bacardi bottle and my shot glass off the table. I then quickly headed back to the garage. Once inside the garage, I then stopped at the table and I then put my bottle down. I was now talking to the girl again and she then told me I could have my pipe back now since she was done smoking. After that, I said okay and she then handed it to me. I then asked her if she liked the trees and she replied yeah, it was good. One of my homies then came up to me and he then said to me, okay, you got Bacardi? I then told him yeah, because I don't drink that other stuff. He then said okay, so what, I ain't cool? And told him, no, you could have a shot. I could tell he was drunk by the way he was acting. After that, I grabbed the bottle and I then poured him a shot. He then drank it like water and then put the closed Bacardi bottle back on the table. It was getting pretty dark outside now and it was very cold. The homies were still blazing it on the side of the house. I was now heading back to the side of the house. Once there, I then pulled my red pipe out and I then began taking some hits. A few minutes later, that girl had came over there also. I then asked her, so are you single? And she then said, yes, I am. She then said to me, but you're not my type, and I replied, okay. She was now in front of me, and she was very close to me. I then looked down and I could see her ass was big. She had some thin pajama pants on, so I could easily tell. She then backed up and she started grinding her ass on me. My pants were dickies, so I'm pretty sure she felt something. She then looked back at me smiling and she then giggled. I then thought to myself, damn, her ass is so soft. After that, I looked around and I could see all the homies smiling. I then also thought to myself, but you have to do the right thing. I then told her, stop, I think you're drunk. And she then said to me, yeah. She was then saying if she was in the gang, she would be down with Sureños. I was now getting irritated by her talking. I then told her, you're drunk, just be quiet. And suddenly she was almost going to fall. She then bumped into me and I was now thinking, damn, she seemed sober a few minutes ago. I was now letting her lean on my shoulder and I said to her, you're drunk, don't worry, I'll help you out. My homie then told me if I were you, I'd just fuck that bitch on the side of the house. After that, I thought to myself, what the fuck did I just hear? Then replied to him, no, I can't take advantage of her when she is drunk. She was shivering, so I then asked her if she wanted to use my sweater. She then told me, no, because then you'll be cold. After that, I told her, no, it's okay, and I then took off my red zip-up sweater. I then handed it to her, and she put it on slowly since she was drunk. A few minutes later, me and my homie then began walking her to her friend's house 2 houses over. We then passed the garage quickly and were now walking in the nice moist grass in my cousin's front yard. She then slipped and fell forward in the grass. She was kinda heavy since she wasn't all there, so we then helped her back up. We now had her back up and we began helping her walk to the house again. We then continued walking on the sidewalk path, and 2 minutes later we were at my friend's house. My friend then opened the front door to the house, and we then entered the house slowly. It was well lit up in the nice house. We then carefully put her on the couch that was located on the right side of the living room next to the front door. Half of her ass was now showing, and I was already looking in the direction, so I seen it. She had a thong on, and I was thinking, damn, she has a nice ass. Her friend then fixed her pants, and he then said, we don't need to see that. He had laughed as he had said that, and he had a big smile on his face. After that, he began laughing some more, and I then told him, alright, I'll talk to you later. I had asked him if he was coming back over, and he said that he might. I then told him, make sure you get my sweater back because it's new, and give it to my cousin. I then went back to my cousin's house and I continued drinking on that crazy day. It was cold and I was freezing outside, so my cousin's lady got me a sweater to wear. More stuff happened and I prevented a fight from happening that day.